Welcome everyone to Sutton Chamber of Commerce Motivation Customer Experience webinar. This is several in our series over the last few weeks and almost months now, and it's fantastic to see so many people hopefully getting some good advice, some good awareness on various topics. Jess, if you've got the presentation, I'll just start with a quick. Here we are. Yeah, so we just wanted to quickly take you through some information on the chamber. Obviously, we head up the Greater Birmingham Chamber is our group, of course. We have our divisions, which you can see there, Sutton Coldfield, which is a key part and a part that myself looks after, along with our exec committee and our president, Casey, who's on the call as well. You'll see there's various geographical areas. Obviously, the coronavirus sort of outbreak has meant that a lot of our webinars, all of our events are online now. So that's meant that really it's a great opportunity for people from across Greater Birmingham and indeed the UK to come and take on board some of our content and our discussions, and hopefully get some advice and help around their business and their engagement and their opportunities to hopefully come out of this crisis in a good place. Quickly working through some of the other aspects of what we do. So we have mentioned about the webinars. This particular webinar is around motivation and customer experience. We've had various different links with business growth, training and personal development, procurement opportunities. I know there was a HS2 event last week, and there's a Birmingham Commonwealth Games event coming up as well. So keep an eye on our website. As is always the way, follow us on our channels, and we'll be able to update you. Of course, the Chamber is a great way to raise your profile as a business. I know there's quite a few majority members on the call today, and I'm sure a lot of you have used these areas. All I would say is get in touch with your relationship manager, and if you've got news, you've got ways to promote your business, especially in these difficult times, please send us that information. We really want to highlight what's going on and what's positive in the area, and how our business is keeping moving as we move through the crisis. Policy and campaigning, of course, is a big part of what we do. I will share some links in the chat, probably at the end, to be fair, on some of the working safely from work briefings and our lockdown briefing paper that we've recently released in the last few hours. Again, a great way for you to use our policy team and understand your business. We mentioned membership briefly. Of course, we have different levels of membership: startup, standard, premier, 1813, and patrons. Open to everyone, really, whether you're a small, one-person business, right up to a big corporate business. We're very positive that we can give you some advice and help your business. And again, as we mentioned, get engaged, follow us on social media, work with us, and we will always try and help. So, Jess, if I can pass back over to you to get Claire's presentation ready, and we can do the full introduction now. So, again, that was appreciate everyone here. I will introduce Claire. So, Claire is a member of the Sutton Coldfield Chamber Exec Committee, and personally has been a huge help to me and various local businesses over many years, really offering us advice and giving us that focus and that direction and motivating us in many ways. So that is what Claire will be talking about. She's given me this line: she's helped business owners cut through the bull, reach their goals, and become content with their working life. I hope I got that right, Claire. We'll also be introducing Naeem, who is also a member of the Chamber Committee in Sutton, and he will be discussing customer experience from his point of view as well, shortly after Claire. Then we will have the open Q&A. So a huge thanks to all. And Claire, over to you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Smoothly done, Chris. So I'm going to talk to you over the next 10 minutes or so about motivation, because my clients have been asking me, firstly, about marketing. Is it okay to market in this time? But the second question is, how do I keep motivated, and how do I keep my team motivated? So we'll start with the first slide. which is about motivating your team now. And you can quite easily change your for you. So motivating yourself or motivating your team. So as I go through these, please, if it is you running your business on your own, just exchange, they for you, because it works on all counts. So I've got loads of tips to share with you. I really had to cut these down to, top 4s and top 5s. But the first one came from your president, Katie, who shared a really great tip to add to your karma bank. So if you believe in karma and you reap what you sow, this is a really great one to show your team and to your customers, about your company values, show that you care and that they are important. So, for example, I've run a meeting this morning, a business mastermind meeting, and everybody in the meeting has received a box of cakes. And it really is the small things that are cheering people up at the moment. This, if you've had something delivered, it can be the highlight. So what can you do to share something good with your team to keep everybody motivated and feeling positive and good? Because sometimes the smaller things can take care of the bigger issues. Set new goals, as everything is changing. Objectives need changing, and targets, and just people's focus needs resetting. And this time has also brought up many additional training issues or training needs, from updating websites to, how to share social content, through to networking. So how can your team help your business move forward post lockdown? If they're not back and working at the moment and still on furlough, they can still do training courses, and networking counts as training. It's brilliant for confidence. So find some networking events that have got guest speakers on that they can learn something from. So perhaps there's a refocus on customer objectives. What customer targets do you want to bring in moving forward? Address their individual needs. I've heard a great quote that has, we are all in the same storm but in different boats, and that is so true. We're all in very different situations. So what do you and what do your team need right now? And most of the time it's about reassurance, feeling listened to and communicated with. So do you know individually what your team members need? And I've heard some really great positive stories from clients and businesses, Sutton Coldfield business-based, who are having regular team meetings, regular check-ins. You could do recorded videos that you send out on a weekly basis, or live Q&As, depending on the size of your teams. But any way that you can address their individual needs, any which way in that you can get your message across, help them to ask any questions, developing that really safe space where they can ask you anything. And I see lots of business owners that get a bit worried about doing that, because it's, they feel like it's confrontational, but it is the most important thing to keep your team motivated, regular communication. Which leads us nicely into the Maslow's motivational theory. If you've done any work on leadership or teaching in the past, then you will know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you can see at the bottom here, physiological and safety are at the forefront of what people need. And it's, the things like food, drink and shelter that we take for granted, But like I say, everyone's in very different situations at the moment. So making sure that they have their basic needs met is, you know, an important place to start in motivating your team. So I'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is business not as usual. What happens after lockdown? And of course, you know, with the changes in the last, what day is it? Wednesday, in the last couple of days, where we're starting to see business moving, it's time maybe for you and your business to press the reset button, because you've probably gained lots of really important knowledge around how your business can adapt and change during this time. You know, there may be options around flexible working now, changing working patterns. We are finding that, you know, it's easier now for more people to work from home, whereas before we perhaps wouldn't have believed that it was possible. But now we see that it is, you know, staff members can be trusted. They, you know, if they've got the right equipment and the right training, then, you know, they can quite easily work from home or work from home a bit of the time. So a really good exercise to do right now is to work out your cost to serve, because that's probably changed quite a bit, where you can, you know, reduce costs without impacting on the delivery. So, you know, now is a really important time to set that reset button and see what changes can be made to help your business move forward. Get the right kit, alleviate the minor frustrations. If you've heard about the halo and the horn effect, this is all about, you know, get one thing right and it influences. So if you get one thing right, it influences the rest of what people feel about your business. So whether it's the customer or your team member, if they have one positive situation, then they kind of put everything else on the positive, which is, you know, where those cakes come in, and you know, the karma effect. So what are their minor frustrations, whether it's, you know, from a headset to stationery needs to tech issues? Get the kit right for them. The third tip is around sending out a survey, and I've just called it a We Care survey. So ask and listen, what are their preferred working arrangements? Just get a gauge for what works for them. You could ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how equipped do you feel able to work from home? And I'll come on to a really good example on the final slide of what you can do to start really gauging, rather than asking them direct. You know, your team members may feel more comfortable sharing that over a survey. Start to set the scene. What's new, what's different, what's the same. Help people with that, you know, those hierarchy of needs, the physiological and the safety. A client of mine has been having to do lots of work, you know, reassuring his team of job security and job safety. So let them know what's changed. And be mindful, address and minimise the risks. Like we said, everybody's situation is very different. With, you know, people with young kids at home who haven't got the schools or the nursery care that they need in order to go back to work. A lot of people feel vulnerable about getting COVID. So be really mindful of everybody's situation being very different, you know, special educational needs at home, vulnerable family members that they're worried about or taking care of. So, you know, it's really important that we understand and are really clear on what's really going on with our team members. And to finish off on a positive note, I wanted to share some businesses who are really getting it right at the moment. So Jess, if you can just go to my final slide. And, you know, the Chamber has inspired me, probably because I love a traffic lighted spreadsheet. But the Chamber of Commerce have used a really good way of assessing how their staff and team feel. So they've done a green if they're happy to return to work and they feel fit and well. And amber if they're healthy but feeling a little bit anxious. And a red if ill and vulnerable. And again, just by doing this traffic light system, it enables people not to have to put words to their emotions or how they feel, because it is such a roller coaster. Everybody's up and down within a 5-minute space or an hour space, let alone a day or a week. So, a really simple but very effective way of assessing how their team feel. And Felton Consult, a chartered quantity surveying practice in Sutton Coldfield. The director has set up his team to work from home using, completely new technology. So like many businesses, having to make sure that their team members feel comfortable with it, and having 3 times weekly check-ins. Now, I know quite a few businesses who are doing this in and around Sutton and Birmingham, having these really regular check-ins and not focusing what they've done, but focusing on, what challenges they've got or what problems they've got with customers, so that they can work as a team to solve those problems. And reduced working hours, so giving their team and staff time to exercise and keep motivated. So there's some really positive stories, and I'm hoping with that 10 minutes that you've got some inspired ideas of how you can keep motivated, whether it's, resetting your goals through to, setting up your team in different ways. I look forward to your questions.
Right. Thanks, Claire. Brilliant. Thank you. I've got a couple of questions myself that I think hopefully will be covered by others, but we'll cover that after the next presentation. So, Claire, thank you very much, and a nice push for the Chamber there as well. I'll let our HR team know that you've been there. You've been watching. So
it's inspiring.
Right, I will introduce Naeem now. So, as said just before Claire started, Naeem is also on the Sutton Coldfield Committee. He's owner of United Carpets and NA Consulting. He will be discussing stages of resetting and relaunching a business, very much around customer experience. And I know Naeem is a huge expert on that area. So, really looking forward to seeing what you've got to say, Naeem. That will very much link in with Claire's as well. Again, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat bar. And over to you, Naeem. Thank you.
Yeah, let's kick off with a poll, if we can, please, Jess. As Chris said, I've been a Chamber member now for many years. I've got a couple of businesses, United Carpets and NA Consulting. And this year I joined the committee because I'm really keen to help the little guy, and I mean that asexual, little guy, little girl. I think small businesses are really important for us. So really keen to talk about today very quickly for 10 minutes about planning your relaunch of your business, and particularly trying to think about that customer experience. Now, there's quite a few slides I'm going to go through, but I'm going to go through them quite quickly. As Chris said, there's a recording available. Think of it of just as seeing the menu. If you want the full meal, then the slides will be shared out with you. Thank you for that. So yeah, 20% have a plan, 10% don't. The other guys are Googling what the word plan means. Okay, no problem. So first slide, please. COVID-19. It's hit so many businesses, particularly SMEs. And SMEs are a big part of the economy. Something like 90% of SMEs employ up to 10 people. And for those kind of organizations, cash is king. And once they've shut their doors, many of them are struggling. Next slide, please. Because once they closed their doors, there was no way for them to get cash in. And if you haven't got cash, you can't pay your staff, you can't pay suppliers or anything else. A lot of small businesses work in what is known as the gig economy. You know, they don't have these long-term contracts with the big companies or the government. They're reliant to go from contract to contract. So pretty tough time for small businesses. And it's not just sort of, the challenge we've got at the moment isn't just about going digital or finding efficiencies. A lot of them are now realizing the thing they've known for a long time, which is we really need to redesign our business. So the work that we've been doing with our clients, we focus on these 3 stages whenever a company has this kind of a problem. And that is to review your current business model, reinvent, and then relaunch. And what I'm going to try and do for you today, as I said, is run through quickly what that looks like. We will make this available to all the chamber members who want access. And if you're not a chamber member, fine, we can still make that available. But this approach is proven to really help you make a difference in your business. Next slide, please. We start with the review phase. So really simply, we need to review what's going on at the moment in our business, how we're set up to operate, what's good, what's bad, and also what's going to have to change in the new modern or the new way of thinking. What does that mean? Next slide, please. That means that we need to draw up some kind of a process map like the one I've given you on the screen here, which says, let me walk through my business model at the moment and see where do customers come in, how do we engage with them, how we process their orders, what to do as follow-ups, all these kind of things. Let's put them on a big piece of paper, multiple papers if you need to, and then start working through each stage and think what's good, what's bad, what needs to change. Next slide, please. And that's the first place you've got to start when you're reviewing what you've got, because there's quite a few things you need to think about. And, here are some ideas. Obviously, we've got to keep safe. If you and your team aren't safe and healthy, the business is not going to be able to function. We've got to consider how we connect with our partners. And I'm talking about your employees, your suppliers, landlords, creditors, and of course, your customers. So many businesses in the last 4 weeks have come to me and said, that thing we used to talk about, the Zoho email communication database, can we talk about it now? And the problem is when your doors are closed, your business model isn't going to work the way it's working. Looking after your assets, not everybody can leave their buildings, their equipment to mothball for 2 months, 3 months. So we need to review what we can do about that. Review our customers, what's working for them, what isn't working for them, how are they affected? Maybe consider our products a little bit. The things which are high risk, we're going to cut back on those in the new future because we're not sure they're going to work, and maybe invest a lot more of the cash cows, a lot more of the tried and tested products perhaps. And the last one, of course, is reviewing our supply chain. One of the things we'll talk about a lot going forward is, if we can't get our products to customers, or if it takes so much time for someone to send us stuff, is that model still going to work in the new world? So really think about all those things. And once you've got an idea of the things which are good or bad, next slide, please, then what we can do is we can start the next step of the process, which is to reinvent our businesses for where we want to be in the future. And this sounds really easy, but it needs some hard thinking. And I want to focus on 4 things in the next slide, please. There's a lot of things you could be reinventing, but if we focus on the 4 things in particular, first of all, your structure, your culture, how you work today. Do you have the right tools? So many people are now on the Zoom. So many people have suddenly realized about doing home deliveries. Lots of great stories about restaurants doing delivery services to keep themselves afloat. Think about how you're going to work, how you're going to check in with your team, as Claire was just saying. Think about what things you can automate. Are there things in your process which you're doing manually at the moment? Can we automate them? How can we keep the environment safe and clean? Opening times, do you want to open up differently? Do you want to maybe have a click and collect service and encourage customers to do that? There's lots of things you want to think about there. At the bottom, the word omnichannel means so many things, but I want you to think really carefully about how your customers can find out about you. Because if they're no longer coming up to the high street, or if they're no longer coming into a town centre, and if the only way they could reach you was by seeing you out and about or on the town centre or the high street, How are they going to find you now? And then on the right hand side in the green, this is really the big thing that's going to impact everybody, even though they may not understand it at the moment. I would be thinking about that voice of customer, which is how are we going to listen to what our customers have got to say to us? How are we going to be thinking about that? You know, really double down on social channels, email communication, apps, these kind of things. When you can't be in front of your customer, how now can you communicate and listen to your customers? Because the new customer experience can be very different when we open back up, whenever that is. And I think trust is going to be a massive thing. I've talked about trust quite a lot this year, but you don't want to be seen as an irresponsible brand. So really take health and safety seriously. Customers are not going to want to queue up, you know, and say, we're happy right at the moment to queue up outside of Asda or Co-op to get our groceries because we're in this lockdown. But when I'm going to come shopping in the future, or when I'm going to come to your business in the future, I probably don't want to have that experience. And I'm just going to start getting fed up of that, to be honest, especially if I've got my kids with me. And think about what you can do about alleviating that friction point. Think about cashless, think about how you can change the layout of your stores to get people in and out. There's a lot of things you're going to have to think about. And these are the things you need to think about right now in terms of that reinvention phase. New slide, please. Next slide, please, even. And then I want you to really think about this relaunch. You know, we are potentially 2, 3, 4 weeks away from the opening of retail stores, and other businesses will start doing it soon. I really want you to think about this as a relaunch. The reason being, if you just simply start opening your doors again, possibly nothing will happen. But I want you to take advantage of that opportunity to relaunch your business and position yourself again. Next slide, please. And I'm saying put this into 4 stages. You know, plan the relaunch, of course. You know, get your tools placed. Think about your opening times, get your PPE, signage, have a training plan for your staff. Your staff are going to have to deal with people now who may be asking different questions, and they may be under their own pressures as well. So really plan that relaunch. Think about what campaigns you're going to launch and what you're going to run. You know, once lockdown is going to be relaxed, people will have money to spend. You know, you've only got to go and stand outside B&Q and see the queues of people who are doing home improvements. So for me, I think people have money to spend, will have money to spend. Furlough's been extended. So there's an opportunity for you there to think about the campaigns you're going to run. And that's not just for a B2C situation, but in a B2B situation as well. Really think about what you can do for your customers who are other businesses. And the third thing I put at the top there is have a measurement in place. So I'm encouraging people to come up with 3 or 4 key metrics that they're going to monitor on a day-to-day basis. And what I'm saying here is what you used to measure is fine. You know, you might measure that in a weekly or a monthly cycle. But right now, things might happen very quickly when we open up. And for that reason, I'm encouraging you to think about 3 or 4 key things, create yourself a scorecard or a list of things you're going to measure on a daily basis, track it for the first 2, 3, 4 weeks until you feel like you've got your relaunch and your business working correctly. Because at the moment, you know, we're opening up June, July, August, whatever you're opening up, you're just coming up to that run up to Christmas, which for many businesses is a massively important time. And I'm worried for a lot of my clients who, if we don't get this relaunch right and they have a bad June, July, August, September and the run up to Christmas could be a disaster, particularly if when we open up, people don't social distance and instead we have this second spike that everyone's worried about. So really plan the next 2 or 3 months when you open up and get ready to launch your run up to Christmas, as you know, we talk about regularly. Next slide, please. So the thing here is that most people, you know, who say they've got a plan will probably spend 5 minutes on this. They're possibly not going to get the same results because they're not going to take this as seriously as I want you to take it, you know, and just think that attitude beats ability. Okay. Don't worry about the kind of business you are. If you've got the right attitude right now, I think you can make a success of this relaunch. And what we're going to do is behind this pack, you know, there's about 30 slides altogether, and there's nearly 20 tools in there. For any chamber members who contact me after this and we'll find out a way, I will make that available for you for free. And, you know, although I've rushed through this in 10 minutes, I hope you get a flavour or a feel about what we're trying to do with this. The more we, next slide, please. Sorry, Jess. The more I see businesses doing well in the region, I think there'll be more money in the economy for all of us to do well. And for me, you know, I want to try and see lots of businesses doing well. I want to try and reduce or minimize this potential recession we've got coming up. So I'm really interested in helping anybody out there who feels that this is the kind of thing for them and they need some help with this. You know, we are going to offer free consultations to chamber members from this week onwards. So reach out if you've got any questions. We're here to help as many people as we can. I'll stop there, Chris. I think I've rammed as much as I could into town.
Oh, that's great. No, thank you, Naeem. Wonderful. No, thanks. And I think, you know, what these webinars are about, it's giving people, even if it's only 10 minutes, it's giving them that time to sort of watch that presentation. The same with Claire's, and hopefully give you some ideas and some thoughts and some takeaways, which is really important. So we've got the questions going. Again, thanks to Naeem and to Claire for those presentations. We've got about 15-20 minutes for the Q&A. So we'll start with, so Katie's, yes, if we could publish the first one. So we'll ask Claire first and then to Naeem. So what would be your one take-home piece of advice for someone launching a new product or service? Claire.
Well, a lot of my clients have been worried or nervous about relaunching or launching anything new. And my advice has been, if it's something that your clients need right now, then you are being selfish for holding on to it. So be confident and go out with a big launch, because if it's what your clients need, then it needs to be shared with them.
Absolutely. No, that's a good point. Yeah, Naeem.
I agree what you say, Claire. Yeah, I agree what you say, Claire. Absolutely. Yeah. I think do the basics right, which is work out if it's needed and if there's a market, and go for it. People have got money to spend at the moment.
Absolutely. No, good answers. Good answers. Thanks, Katie. So we'll go on to Kaz, who's our Asian Business Chamber president. So we've got some presidents with us today, which is fantastic. So yeah, Naeem, our businesses are really going to change because they're waiting for things to go back to normal. And by waiting for things to go back to normal, does that mean businesses won't change? Interesting, yeah, interesting theme. Naeem, over to you.
Yeah, I don't think back to normal is going to happen for a long time. And by the time it does happen, we will have all evolved as an economy. And I think if you're sitting, my advice would be, if you're sitting waiting for things to go back to normal, you'll be sitting waiting for a long time. Just the headlines about people going back on the tubes over the last couple of days. And, you know, that just scares me, because that's not the way I think we're going to be able to do business going forward. And everything we've said so far, I mean, Claire will definitely add to this. I think we said so far is telling us that we've all evolved over the last 3 months. I don't see us going back to what we had before. What do you think, Claire?
Well, I agree with you. That's why I love the chamber hashtag, Keep Business Moving, and I've been trying to use it as much as possible with the businesses who work with me, because it's no point waiting for this, I'll wait and see what happens. Just carry on and let your business move along naturally with what's happening all around you. And it's the same for your staff as well. It's no point them just sitting in their house doing nothing, waiting to get back to normal. There is no new normal. If there is no normal, it's going to be completely new. So the sooner people get used to what's going on around them, the better.
Yeah, and I think that's where it comes in with the motivation and then the planning and the areas that Naeem covered, and vice versa, isn't it? It's you know, you need to know what you're doing to get you motivated, but you also need to make sure you're motivated to go through that process. And I think, yeah, you know, personally, I think in my role in the chamber, we've seen things change massively on our event side, and in the last couple of weeks, you know, we've sort of started to put on events that, you know, a Zoom calls with members, and thinking, you know, right, let's go and do it and get it started. And that's a small part of what we do, but it's an important part. And the same for many businesses, it's the same, isn't it? I think it's having that motivation to think, right, let's go ahead and do it, and accept that, you know, the normal that was isn't going to come back for some time. No, appreciate that. Thank you. And we'll go to James's question. So, in addition, what do you think will change in the lockdown? How can you manage the risk of getting that prediction wrong? I think, yeah, there you go. That's similar to what we've covered. But Claire, again, that worry, I suppose, of getting something wrong. How do you have the confidence to think, go for it?
Well, I don't like predicting. There is no point trying to work out what will happen, what won't happen, what might happen. Let's just deal with the here and now. That's all we can handle. You know, what's happening in business right now. And it's a really good lesson for business owners to keep their marketing fresh and exactly with what's happening out there in the real world. So who knows what's gonna change? I think people will be a lot cautious for a long time, cautious around one another. You know, like I said in my bit, a lot of people still feel vulnerable, but let's just deal with what we can right now and get your marketing fresh and aligned with the market.
Thanks, Claire. And Naeem, your thoughts on that? Obviously, from a process point of view, that's an interesting question to your side as well. Thanks, Claire.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just following on from Claire, I'm with you. Let me take my consulting hat off and put my retail hat on. Right now, if all we do is literally open up the way we opened it, 3 months ago, I don't think my business will be as successful as it was. And just picking up on James's question, how do you manage a risk of getting prediction wrong? I can't predict. For me, this is business as usual as far as I'm concerned. It is. There's been a change. It's like we've just invented Wi-Fi. It's that kind of a change that's happened, and we've got to roll with it. We've got to predict. We've got to bet on the things that we think are safe bets or risky bets, depending on what kind of a business we are, and we've got to go with them. But certainly, if you just go back to what you did, I feel that you're going to get left behind by those people who take the chances. We're all entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurship is about taking a risk, a calculated risk, but you get the reward for that risk.
Absolutely. No, thanks, Naeem. Thank you. So next question from John, who was mentioned in the presentation by Claire as well. Is there a way to take the new normal and be different? What boundaries would you advise? Probably to Claire first.
Is there a way to take the new normal and be different? Yes, always. John will know that I am all about differentiating yourself. So what can you do now that sets you apart from your competition? And I know that John and his lovely company is already different from those around him that are doing something similar in similar industry. So what boundaries work for you in line with your values, how you and your team want to be seen in business? Just focus on your own game. Forget about what everyone else is doing. Time to get introspective and think, it's this reset button. What do I want to do? That's different.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with what she said. I would say very similar.
Brilliant. Okay, no, thank you, Naeem. Wonderful. So if there are any other questions, by all means, I can see that I think there's another one coming through. While we just wait, I wanted to ask, and I think, I suppose, as a chamber, we come across members in very different areas. And obviously you mentioned, Naeem, about the retail side. That's a little bit more sort of linear in terms of they're going to reopen on a certain date. If you're a business at the moment that is still trading, that has traded and has continued to be run, how important is it to know when to relaunch that side of a business? So not just a business that has been shut, but one that is perhaps in the process of changing. What's your thoughts on that around how they could change?
For me, this is still just about marketing. It's very easy for me to sit here with a list of customers that still paying me and be a bit smug about it, but I'm not. I really believe in just doing the basic things. And Claire mentioned it before, it's about thinking, all right, if we've been working something right now and now we've got an opportunity to change, it's a way of doing some marketing or some campaign, which is going to get people's attention. I always talk about find a reason for people to remember you and think about you and talk about you. And for me, it's business as normal. At the moment, we've lost Easter. We're now coming up to the summer holidays. Kids are off school. Kids are potentially going back to school. Whatever works for your business, whatever that angle or hook is, I'd be pushing a campaign out for it. Can't travel away. We've got your summer holiday at home for you. I don't know, whatever business you're doing, but it's about spinning it in terms of getting attention for your audience.
Good, yeah. And Claire, you're
again? Yeah, well, I firmly believe that there is a solution to every single problem. And most of the time, it's in the business owner's ability to step back from it and to get a little bit creative on what that looks like for you. And now is a great time to try something different, because, you know, that fear of failure as well has kind of lessened a little bit. Oh, stuff it, you know, I can do anything at the moment. Let's just test it and see. So, you know, test your entrepreneurial skills and just, you know, do something a little bit different.
Oh, that's good. And I think that leads quite well into Edwin's question that's just come through on I've seen a lot of businesses go quiet while on lockdown. Yeah, we can certainly vouch for that here at the Chamber. It's you know, there's various businesses that have gone quite quiet. How can we get more businesses to start making noise?
Great question, Edwin. Can I jump in, Naeem?
Yeah.
Let's, you know, the business community, I think, is such a lovely one, because we are all so helpful and looking out for each other. So, you know, get something going, get a hashtag going on Twitter, you know, get an email out to all the businesses that you want to get involved. And this is where I say, try something different, try something new, use the social channels to get people sharing about their businesses. You know, the ones that have gone quiet, what have you been doing? What positive steps have you taken? What do you want to do? You know, get any conversation going.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. Facts tell and stories sell. And, you know, Edwin did a great thing on the weekend. He started a new campaign himself. While he can't be out taking photos, he's done something to make sure people don't forget who he is. And I think that's all you've got to do. I'm a bit against just making a lot of noise, because when you're shouting and if you're talking nonsense, people are listening to you even less. But as Claire said, and what Edwin's done is a great example, find a way for people to talk to you and get involved. And, you know, do something. Doing nothing at the moment is the worst thing you can be doing.
I did actually see that campaign. I didn't just connect the dots when the question first came through. It would be great to get business owners taking photos around their community, what's reflective of their business out in the community. Would be a great campaign to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think again, it's that. And that honest passion for what you do, isn't it? Is so important. And using, I know Plot's creative, you know, and the lockdown heroes colouring, you know, that's grown. And I've seen another post on there today that's been really positive. Yeah, Naeem, over to you.
Just one more. I mean, if you've got nothing else to do, you should be using this downtime to do the things that have always been on that list. Yeah. And I bet we've all got those lists. And one of the things, we had a call this morning with a client, was I said, isn't it about time you went back to that thing that you've never done, which is go out to your existing customers and get your testimonials?
Yeah.
And I said, they're all sitting at home, just ask them. You can do so many little things, and the little things build up to a big dam or a big wall. So do something, guys.
Absolutely. Okay, brilliant. So well, great questions. Thanks everyone for putting those forward. Obviously, connect with Naeem and Claire offline if you've got further questions for them. I suppose finally, just as a final takeaway, your sum up, Claire, first, and then Naeem, and then we'll go.
Sum up. There's lots that you can be doing, and never be stuck in, I don't know if I should be, you know, taking a step forward. Never be stuck in your business, because there are always answers. And, you know, reach out to someone in your network, to myself or Naeem, you know, take the offer of the free call. We are more than happy to give you lots of advice and help. Let's leave no business owner behind, as trolls would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say what I've written there, which is move your mind from thinking opportunity is nowhere to opportunity is now here. There is opportunity out there, guys and girls.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks both. Really appreciate it. Really positive. I always come away from these webinars, whether they're on motivation or commercial law or HS2, whatever it might be. It's really positive to have experts who are members of the Chamber and are giving that advice for free to our delegates and our members, or non-members and businesses in general. So Naeem, Claire, thanks so much for your time. This website, the YouTube link will be up probably first thing tomorrow. So if you've got any recaps you'd like from our discussion, please get onto that. Again, stay in touch with us. I see there's a lot of members on here, so please, off the back of this, speak to your relationship managers, ask how the Chamber can help, ask how Naeem and Claire can help with you on various areas. Have a great afternoon. A big thanks from everyone at the Sutton Chamber of Commerce, and a big thanks to Jess doing the hard yards in the background, making sure these webinars go ahead. It's a real important part of what we do. And thanks to Claire and Naeem, and see you all soon. Thank you.